All right, Jamie.
Hey.
You know, I'm dealing with a complete mess. Today, wasn't even going to start until 10:31. But basically, I'm dealing with a complete fucking mess on my hands with litigation and headaches and issues that, forget about business. I can't focus on any business. I have a $2 million judgment that just came down for a matter that I not only don't own any of it, but let me just start from the beginning, okay? In the real world, I just want everyone to understand this. In the real world, when you're a victim of a crime, you don't have to file litigation on your own behalf. You have the resources of the prosecutor's office, Department of Justice, and several other law enforcement agencies that are tax funded in order to protect your rights. I, Daniel M. Reeses, have been a victim of so many crimes that even being a victim of Senator Bob Menendez, who is in jail for a fucking decade, is not enough to have any law enforcement whatsoever assist me in this quest to fix my fucking life so I can go back to doing normal business. And I can't do that because I am mired in frivolous litigation as well as endless headaches. So here we go. Let's try to clean this up. This is all real, please understand. Don't even attempt to try this. You're gonna ruin your life, I promise you. No one has any clue what's about to happen. Get rid of this 1,450 days. No one gives a shit about any of this. Let's clean all this up and let's address the issues at hand. We have some emergency litigation matters that need to be handled.
Erase this.
What's that? Yeah, you can erase that. What day is today?
October 21st, 2020.
All right, so we've just gotten, well, I've just received a $2 million judgment against me for, I will get into this in a little bit, that needs to be immediately addressed, and, right, Lustig / Perfect Pawn. And how this happened, I have no idea, but I definitely filed a response and all that other stuff. But in general, please understand that I've had to have been falsely accused and falsely arrested on 5 separate occasions, as well as 3 trips to the county jail for about 24 days total. So please understand that my ability to respond has been limited. Furthermore, I don't even have access to any of my paperwork or office.
Or you rarely get your mail.
I don't get any mail
So
anymore.
like if anyone's sending you notices,
I don't get any notices. I don't get shit.
Like,
I don't even know how to address it because there is this thing called domestic violence. Domestic violence is something that's very serious, and I thought I took it very serious up until I was a victim of domestic violence, and I came forward. Can I have some water, please? Sugar is good. Thank you. Then there is family matrimonial, so that's FM versus FV. If you find yourself to be offended by the content of this channel, I've asked everyone to simply not watch it. I do not harass a single person. I exercise the First Amendment, and I want to remind everyone that the actual content and the context of what I talk about is not even that bad. I am consistent in my position. I believe that human beings will regret the decisions that they have made, and I am consistent in my viewpoint that families require balance, and I still don't understand how after a quarter of a century I have to go through attorneys and all this insanity without being able to resolve my conflict directly with the people that I've known, that I have conflict with. I could easily just sit down, we could communicate, we could just resolve it, we could have resolved it. But instead, everyone is forced to go through this like arduous legal process that I simply am forced to comply by. But at the same time, I want to remind everyone that this is not necessary. We are normal human beings that can easily communicate with each other. No one, I personally have never threatened anyone or harmed anyone or threatened to harm or any of this stuff. So I've never, I can't even understand the legitimacy of the claims and the accusations against me because there's no basis for it. There's no evidence, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing other than the fact that I am an outspoken individual on a public media channel. That's it. Everything else is made up and hearsay. The one part that is true is that I am an outspoken individual in the United States of America, which I was under the impression that I was doing everything correct and following the laws and the rules of our society, but apparently we live in the type of society that can just flip a switch and decide that one person is right in their very strange
And the other
viewpoint,
person's wrong.
and the other person is wrong without something called due process.
Yeah.
So this mess that I'm finding myself in, we have Lustig Perfect Pawn rate 2 million. This one we need to respond to immediately. Furthermore, right along the line, then we have US Alliance. My home is in foreclosure because of the multitude of crimes that have been committed against me. But in that matter, there is a reasoning, and there's something called dual tracking, and there's a lot of stuff, and my children live in that home, and I will protect that home with all ferocity that I have. And they recently just filed a motion for running out of time. We're out of time. I don't know how you could run out of time for being a victim of a crime, but we'll figure that out once. Now, I have a federal docket number because the venue that I seek is not available in these venues because they have proven to be non-trustworthy and non-neutral court basis. US Alliance we'll get to in a little bit, right, 1 million versus 4-5 million. I think that's the asset-based class. And right along here, then right FM, I have the FM matter, family matrimonial, VS, FV. And I just want to publicly state that I've never committed a single violent act in my home, and I'm proud of that. I never will. I'm not interested in harassing anyone. I'm not interested in being called a stalker. I'm a man that's full of love in his heart. I genuinely care about the people that I thought I cared about, and I still do. I'm just a little confused about a few matters that I'm going to address in a little bit. But in general, what I want to do
Putting it
is...
lightly.
What's that?
I said that's putting it lightly.
Well, I think that you have a lawsuit and litigation, and I think that it's also extremely unfair to be constantly accused of being litigious while being ignored in my regular communications and my attempts to resolve my conflicts outside of court.
Yeah.
But without any resolution outside of court, I am forced to litigate and get court orders from federal judges to get anything done. And even when that happens, it's still just like pulling fucking teeth. And if you really think about what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to do good for not only myself, but for everybody else. Furthermore, I just want to remind everyone that it has been 5 years since any issues whatsoever have even come up on a civil matter, so that the fact that I've been arrested 5 times regarding the almost identical yet completely different circumstances should really spark everyone's interest in this matter, because as a non-violent human being a victim of domestic violence and being a man really backfired on me a lot more than you can imagine. And people hear nightmare stories about men that come forward and have their world turned around by society. And you've also seen movies with Hilary Swank, that movie where she's a lesbian, and The Boys, something like that.
I know what you're talking about.
So, short
Oh my
story
God,
long,
what is
short
that?
story long, we have to immediately go on record on these 2 matters. Now, we also have Mo Phillipsburg. Those people owe me probably around 15 million right now. And then real estate. All real estate matters have to be immediately addressed because that's where my equity is, as well as emergency matters in FM and versus FV. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have to do triage tonight immediately on 5 different matters just before I could even start any business concept
Yes,
whatsoever.
that's it.
And it's extremely frustrating that I have to even break it down like this and explain that none of this needed to be happening. It could have been an amicable, normal way to have addressed my litigation. I would have maintained everything the way I always have been, and none of this would have been necessary. But unfortunately, I have no fucking clue of how a lot of this got to here, but it happened in 2 seconds, and we'll get to the bottom of it shortly. But it's important for everyone to understand that no matter how many accusations I've hurled at me, I'm not going to change who I am as a non-violent, peaceful individual who does nothing more than address the issues at hand publicly rather than talking behind people's backs. I feel that that's an admirable quality to be and aspire, is that you want to avoid talking behind people's backs and you'd rather address things publicly and say that, hey, none of this would be necessary had anybody from the government of the state of New Jersey done absolutely anything, let alone interfered and had me arrested in this entire process. But alas, here we are, and I have to immediately address these issues, so I need this video up right away. I'm not interested in creating controversy. I'm not interested in being falsely arrested, so I'm going to avoid publishing content that is old or videos until I get a First Amendment order from a federal judge, because we're at a point where the government has shown me that I don't have freedom of speech. I want to publicly state that I am suppressing what I'm saying, and I'm trying to do the best I can to comply with all aspects of whatever nonsense requests people have gone against the U.S. Constitution to have to document themselves doing and saying. And what I'm going to do right now is make sure that this video is published so that everyone understands that I am not interested in conflict, no matter what anyone says. If anyone has an issue with any of the content that is published, please file a motion or please address it directly and say, hey, I don't want your freedom of speech. That's it, and say why. And that's all I request. And obviously, if I find that there is a violation or anything, there's no issues with taking any content down. But I want to remind everybody once again that once you start taking some content down, you have to be able to take all content down. I am not prepared to do that whatsoever, because I don't believe that I have done anything whatsoever that's wrong. As a matter of fact, I have been able to sacrifice a lot of my personal freedoms, rights, and everything imaginable in order to teach you a lesson about the importance of the U.S. Constitution in a civilized digital world. Jamie, do you have any questions before we sign off?
No, I agree with that. You have to put yourself through hell.
Absolute hell. Hell and back, and please understand that it's not over. At any time I could be arrested for making content, publishing it, or speaking my mind. But at the same time, I still will fight to make sure that my children's home is protected, no matter how poorly I am treated by our society. I have a responsibility to take care of my children. I would love to do nothing more than that. If somebody would follow a subpoena request and, submit their information like I'm ready to submit mine. But we don't live in a world where people can communicate and amicably agree on things. We live in a world where I kind of do look young. I don't know, I'm 43, but I guess with a backwards hat. Who am I kidding? I'm 43 years old, I'm an old man.
The less facial hair you have, the younger you look.
The less facial hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. All right, Jamie. I think it's time for us
That's
to
hard
publish
getting news there.
to publish this
Okay.
and to start to address the courts in a universal letter and just various filings of motions and everything that we have to do. And it's also extremely unfair, but let's address that in federal court regarding the fact that I, as a victim, should not be subjugated to this rigorous litigation schedule, or else my life is pretty much over.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's human torture in itself. My name is Dan Reeses. I kind of feel sick just from filming this.